Hello, this is Alan Bell, and I promised that I would do a little video on this vehicle that I found at the bottom of Deepwater on April the 1st, 2019. I took a little solo ride that day, and this thing was there, and I assumed that it was a stolen vehicle that had been driven in from the east side, and then the crooks just dumped it and ran off, and that it was stolen. But I took these two pictures, took off, and ran into a ranger at Deepwater, and he told me that it was actually a family on a ride, and they had kids in the car and a wife, and I don't know how many kids, probably two. There are two car seats in there, and that they came in from the west side, which is where the bridge is, which seems absolutely impossible. And so I'm just going to kind of show you a little bit about what this area looks like. Now, this road right here is the road you take in to get there, and perfectly good road. I mean, certainly you could take any pickup truck or SUV down this thing, no problem. It's a fire trail. And obviously the family found this road, and they started traveling down. This is part of our ride. We do this every time we do a big loop. But it is actually a road, and there are vehicles down here quite often. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I mean, not scary or anything. So they probably thought that they were, it's hard to figure out what was going on in their mind as they approached things getting a little tougher. Maybe they thought that, we just have to get through this creek and it'll all be better. This is probably the tightest turn in the whole road until you get to the landing at the bottom. And that's coming up here in a little bit. But in any case, kind of a tragic story for these guys. Don't really understand what happened, but I'd love to find out. But the purpose of this video is just to kind of show you the general area and give you a flavor for what kind of terrain these guys ran into when they were on their little drive. And apparently it happened a week or two before April 1st. So by the time I saw it, the vehicle had been there for a little while. And I'm getting pretty close to approaching the end of this road. And I've got a couple of still shots here so that you can see kind of the end, which is kind of the decision point where they made their mistake. Now, this is basically the landing at the bottom. And this is where they really should have turned around and come back. There's a motorcycle trail that takes off to the right, and there's a sign right before the trail that's a little bit small, but it basically defines this trail as being okay for motorcycles. I think it says it's okay for quads and horses, those three things, and that's it. And obviously they didn't see it. And so I'm approaching it here, I'm taking the right turn, and now I'm on the motorcycle trail. But unfortunately, it's still wide enough for a vehicle, even though it's quite a bit rougher than the road that they just came down. But they obviously went down this road, and you got to believe they just thought, it'll get a little better later. Then you make this turn, and you can see the bridge. The water's off to the right. It's a little bit far on this thing, but the bridge is at the end of that thing. But it looks dang scary, and I cannot understand how they didn't try to turn around at that corner or just stop and hike out and then go get help, because this is treacherous for a car. It's pretty tight for a motorcycle even, but you look at this, and here's the corner that they have to take to get onto the bridge, which is, I don't know how they did it. They obviously scraped both ends.
This is what that Sequoia went down. I don't know how I made it through here without rolling over that edge. This is the first challenge, and I think he probably scraped these rocks. These tires were outboard of this trail for at least some of it. That is so narrow in there. And then he came around, and he's got this super hard right turn. Don't know how he got into this bridge. I can see scrape marks right there, where he probably hit his mirrors, maybe, or door handle. And there are also some scrapes right there, where he hit. And then he made it across this bridge, which is not much wider than that Sequoia. Left his taillight there. and scraped that right there. And then went up that. Somehow. And you can see him over there, that's where he lost it. You can see the trail, kind of the gouge in the ground right there. He rolled it over. At this point, I'm sure he was rolling. And that's that back window right there, the glass. And then he came upright somehow and settled into that. Lucky that they ended up on their feet. So this is that little motorcycle trail that we sometimes take, super steep. You don't get any feel for how steep that is, but he's blocking it completely. And there's the other car that keeps getting worse and worse all the time. I'm afraid this Sequoia is going to be the same way if they don't get it out of here. Pretty car, but they ruined it.
Okay, so this is back to late summer when I did this ride through this area. Obviously the Sequoia was not there yet, but this just shows where they had to go out. And I just passed the area where they rolled off the road. But it wouldn't have been a whole lot easier if they made it through. I mean, this is a pretty tough climb out of here. They're not going to be able to get a tow truck down this thing, maybe a tractor to drag him out. But I guess the family wants the car back. But it's going to be a tough go. The other amazing thing that I found out today when I took those videos is that it's a two-wheel drive vehicle. It's not even a four-wheel drive Sequoia, which was pretty surprising to even have got as far as he did. But just an incredible chain of poor decisions as they went along. It's kind of an interesting human behavior study almost about how one bad decision just compounds on the other. And, they just didn't stop and think. And so that's probably the more interesting part of the whole thing. Thank goodness they weren't hurt and they're all okay. They just lost a nice car. Thanks for watching. See ya. Bye.